I'm Al Gelger, the SideQuest Gamer, and I'm going to do something a little different. Today I will be doing my very first top 10 list. So sit back and enjoy the top 10 most underrated video games from generations 2 through 5. The top 10 most overlooked video games ever. Now before I start this list, these games will be ranked on how obscure they are, with number 1 being a title 99% of you hardcore gamers never even heard of. Number 10, The World Is Not Enough, 007. Sure, Perfect Dark was the way to go, but The World Is Not Enough still provides the same fun weapons with new objectives and missions. It's more or less of an expansion pack to GoldenEye, but it doesn't disappoint. Well, unless you are expecting something better than GoldenEye. Pfft. Seriously, give this one a try if you're looking for a good Nintendo 64 game to occupy your weekend. Number 9, The Legend of Dragoon. Remember Final Fantasy VII? Yes. Remember Final Fantasy VIII? Yes. Remember Legend of Dragoon? No! That's too bad, because this game was 4 discs of brilliance. I don't believe it was even made by Square Enix. While not as good as Final Fantasy VII or VIII, or even as groundbreaking, this game won the hearts of those who did get this gem, unless they hated turn-based RPGs. But that's their own problem. The quality of the game is right on par with the likes of Final Fantasy VII, or at least Chrono Cross. I do believe that this game is on the PlayStation Network, so while sales may have been disappointing and forgotten in the eyes of even more intermediate gamers, this game at least was recognized for an overdue re-release on the PlayStation Network. Number 8, Balloon Kid. While this game may be of decent quality, it's still worth checking out, and obscurity it sure has met. I've never even heard of this game until recently. Basically, it's a sequel of sorts to Balloon Fight for the NES, and when I mean a sequel of sorts, I mean they spin off of the minigame known as Balloon Trip, and made it more of an epic adventure. The story is not important, but the gameplay is what you would expect. Plus, they somehow made boss battles work. Number 7, Tails Adventure. Forget Sonic CD and Knuckles Chaotix. This also amazing Sonic game fell into obscurity despite being an interesting experiment. What if Tails was on his own? Well, we get the intellectual and adorable sidekick Tails going against not Dr. Robotnik / Eggman, instead an army of birds piloting mech suits. I don't know why. Sure, the graphics aged horribly, but the same could be said about your grandparents and still can be a fun time to be with. If you're a Sonic fan, you owe it to yourself to give this game a try. Otherwise, you're a ninny who probably hates all 3D Sonic games, even though some of them are fantastic. Call yourself a Sonic fan. Pfft. I will contemptuously say, bah, you wouldn't know a good Sonic game if it landed in your fridge. Seriously, give this game a try. It's on the Sonic Gems collection for the GameCube, and I believe it's also on the 3DS eShop. Number 6, The Secret of Mana. This game has a cult following, and it's made by Square, but none of my friends have even heard of this remarkable title. How remarkable is it, you may ask? Take A Link to the Past for The Legend of Zelda and Chrono Trigger and put them together and you get a well-balanced game that somehow mixes those two combat elements together. Don't know what I'm talking about? Then check it out on the Nintendo eShop on the Wii U. I don't make these lists to force my ideas into your heads. This list is made to give you ideas of what your next video game download purchase or use hard copy purchase should be. And Secret of Mana is no exception. Seriously, give this game a try. Number 5, Demon's Crest. You never heard of Demon's Crest? No? Well, it's the 3rd game in the Gargoyles Quest series. What? You never even heard of Gargoyles Quest either? Okay, it's a spin-off adventure series based off the demon enemy that flies around the screen on the dreaded Ghosts and Goblins for the NES. But don't worry, these games do not have an unfair difficulty, and it stars Firebrand, the demon, who Marvel vs. Capcom 3 fans have heard of, but wondered what game he is from. Well, Demon's Crest is the darkest and best in the trilogy in my opinion, as you can fight other demons and take their abilities like Mega Man, and fight in any of the levels in any order like Mega Man, except that these levels are numbered, with the highest number being the most difficult. Even though it's not on the Nintendo eShop due to Nintendo frowning upon its satanic imagery and atmosphere, it really is worth checking out. And don't worry, even though it's in a demon realm, Satan is not in any of the games, except that Rushafel resembles the Lucifer in Ghosts and Goblins. And there's no anti-Christianity in the game. Think of it like a dark Godzilla movie where a bunch of monsters fight each other just because it's in their nature. Number 4, DuckTales 2. You've probably heard of DuckTales for the NES due to it recently being remastered for the Xbox Live Arcade and PlayStation Network as well as the Wii U eShop. Well, did you know it had a sequel? I admit I am not a fan of the DuckTales game. It's fun, but I found it to be upstaged by the likes of other platformers out there. Plus, I've never even seen the show, and probably never will unless I have kids one day and have to watch for good kids shows with non-demented humor like Ren and Stimpy. Well, DuckTales 2 came out in the early 90s and slipped under the radar of many people, including fans of the first DuckTales game, since the Super Nintendo Entertainment System was released in 1991. While not as good as the first and made very little changes from the first game, it's still the good old Scrooge McDuck on the pogo stick fun. I do hope it eventually gets a DuckTales 2 remastered. It's definitely worthy of it. Number 3. Rystar, or Ristar, I don't know how it's pronounced. Who is Rystar? He's an anthropomorphic star-like creature that's the son of a guardian of a distant world. You may have seen him make a cameo appearance in Sonic and Sega All-Stars Racing Transform, but unfortunately, he is not playable in that game. He's one of the Sega's forgotten protagonists, like Alex Kidd and Knights. And his game is really fun, and it utilizes a grabbing mechanic you use to swing or slingshot yourself or the object you're holding onto. Give this one a try. It may have been forgotten due to it being released in 1995 just to be upstaged by the Sega Saturn's release, but it has many virtual console releases, and it's part of the Sonic Genesis collection on the Xbox 360 and PS3. Number 2. Tomba, or Tombi as it's known in Europe. What is Tomba/Tombi? It's a 2.5D platformer with some open world mechanics added into it. Known as Tombi in Europe, it's a fun adventure where a jungle boy with pink hair goes on all sorts of quests. It's brilliant because it's in a 3D environment with 2D side-scrolling, but climbing allows you to go into other layers of the background. Sure, it's not the best PS1 game, but it's definitely one worth adding to your collection. It later had a sequel, but soon the company that made it went out of business, and now Tomba 2 is rare and hard to find. Good news though, the first Tomba game is available on the PlayStation Network, and unlike most PS1 games, this game hasn't aged at all, and it could pass as an indie game. It's definitely way better than a certain 3-letter 2.5D platformer made by a fish. Ugh. What's my number one most underrated video game from generations 2 through 5? Tune in tomorrow and you'll find out. Same time, same YouTube channel. Thank you all for watching, and I will see you tomorrow. Remember to stay awesome for the time being.